You know, I know this is kinda random, especially in terms of my modeling. I really want, or would love, a larger diesel for the layout. Now, I know I have an unspoken, smaller engine policy, but that's often because I like those engines more. But I don't know, on the flip side, I feel like a D261 or some other larger character would be kinda fun. But you know what I don't want to do? Spend like $300 on arguably the most basic character ever? Like, what? Resellers, listen, it's not that serious. In what world am I supposed to take you seriously? Oh. Yeah, I can make this work. So instead of spending $300 on an already painted Class 40, it just so happened I got pretty lucky and found a cheaper one on Hatton's that is not a Thomas character. No, this one was made by Lima, and I think after shipping was right around $35. It also ran a little temperamentally and had a pogie that was offset, but both were easy fixes. So, like I said earlier, I want to make this into the Class 40 from Thomas, Bowler, or Andy if you're so inclined and based. And to do that, thankfully it won't be too hard of a process by the end. The first step was fix the chassis issues, you know, make sure overall running was solid, and pretty quickly I was on to removing the decals from the old model. This is a pretty necessary step, as if you leave the decals or numbers on whatever else, pretty often they're gonna show through on the painted finish, and that's going to ruin the finish. So yeah, pretty quickly the numbers were removed, any and all logos, and pretty quickly the guy was primed and painted in a darker green. Now, Bowler is one of those characters I really enjoy in both the TV show and the Railway series, so yet again, we'll kinda try to mix them a little bit. In came a darker, more saturated green and a TV series styled face. Oh, and on the chance you didn't know, it's very common in the Railway series that engines with two cabs often have two faces. Yeah, like Toby, Class 40, for example. Do with that information what you will. I did this. Now, really because I only had two faces for this character anyway, and now this means I don't have to swap them out. But also, on the flip side, yeah, it's fair to say he may be the kind to speak out of his ass. Now, thankfully, the rest of the livery was also very simple. The top and roof was sprayed with a RAF dark gray, which, truth be told, I thought looked a little better than the TVS black. And yeah, overall I do kind of like that contrast a little bit more. Some yellow was added to the chassis as a nod to the actual Class 40s. The ends painted in a doled out yellow, and quite possibly my favorite part, a little bit of light inside of the front cab. Now, this was done with the same sort of light used in Annie and Clarabelle, and is battery powered, but super easy to access nonetheless. That, and they last quite a while, so I can't really complain too much. I don't really care if it's not track powered all that much. And to wrap it all up came the numbering and some weathering to the chassis, more or less to dull out that yellow, with some upkick onto the body. And with all of that being said, ladies and gentlemen, here we are now. Now, I do plan to weather him a little bit more, perhaps on the roof and the sides too. But yeah, at this point, this is my Bowler model. Currently the largest and most wonky looking engine on my short radius layout ever, but an engine I enjoy nonetheless. Plus being a project that I think ended up being around $65 to $70-ish. And that's after the engine, paint, masking tape, lettering, printing the faces. Yeah, that compared to a ridiculous eBay price, this was a W all around, if you ask me. And maybe, or hopefully inspired you to do the same thing. I can't lie, I'm on a mainline diesel kick recently, and these are very, very simple customs. If you're ever interested in trying, Bowler is not that hard of an engine to replicate. But alright, enough of all of that. I think it's time we see this dude in action.
seen worse. At least you're all clean. The engine's glared. It's not your fault, but Sir Topham Hatt should scrap you and get engines like me. A fill of oil, a touch on the starter, and I'm off. No bother, no waiting.
Either subscribe, donate, or get the fuck out.